Ah yes, anime. One of the greatest things humanity has to offer. An art form so special it very much became alive to some. With beautiful characters and detailed environments, truly, Japan 100% knows what they're doing. Most of the time. You know what else is great? Not these freakish furry amalgamations, that's for sure. But what happens if you combine anime girls with anthropomorphic animal characters? What monstrosity do you end up with? So cat girls or fox girls or whatever has been on the anime web for quite some time. But what makes an anime a furry anime? While stuff like cat girls are humans with animal tendencies, a furry character is animals but with human interactions. Think of Zootopia and the ever-growing library of humanoid personas. Those characters are animals that do human things. Oh yeah, keep note of Zootopia, this will be important later. But why am I talking about two seemingly unrelated things today? So one day I was browsing Twitter and I found this. Netflix Furry Starter Pack. This art consists of 3 animes in its box. Legoshi from Beastars, Shiro from BNA, and Haida from Agretsuko. Now, why am I talking about these 3? Those 3 are the main contenders when it came to the topic of furry anime. I'm sure there are more out there, but those are kind of the main ones. And the fact that those 3 are on Netflix which makes it more accessible to the masses, hence the name Netflix Furry Starter Pack. But these shows are also dubbed as the I'm not a furry but starter pack due to people having second thoughts on anthropomorphic characters after having a good viewing session. So what is this furry anime thing that you may not have asked? Let's get straight into the biscuit, shall we? Starting off with Beastars. This is actually the very first show that I watched and actually finished, and so it held a really close place in my heart. Well, at first I don't really get it, but on the rewatch after finishing much other shows, oh boy do I give it way less credit than it deserves. So the premise here is about discrimination against 2 parties, herbivores and carnivores. They once lived happily ever after, but one event split them apart. A carnivore ate a herbivore. Now, in a society with animals that equally acted like humans, that's messed up. Naturally, now each party is distancing themselves from each other. But here's the catch. Legoshi, the main wolf, fell in love with a sweet little cute bunny that apparently fucks other beings. Forbidden love, they say. But hang on, carnivores and herbivores? Predators and prey, one fearing the other? Sound familiar? If you want a very rough description on what this thing is, it's basically Zootopia, but darker, and not family friendly. But if you ask me, I'd like to quote Pyrocynical.
But in my eyes, it's like comparing Elon Musk to cheesecake.
Zootopia is more rounded about one specific party that purposely break them apart, and the effort the characters took to bring them together again. While Beastars is what I would say more natural, its roles are more defined from the start. So, how was it? It is... man... it's what I would call a slow burner, but oh boy does it burn. Each character is introduced really well, and the conflict they had with each other are also well rounded. The visual form of their sentences is also amazing, but we'll get to the visuals later. Not to mention they did a really good job on explaining this world. The world building here is awesome, and everything makes sense in a way. The drama, the feels. It's a bliss to say the least. You really feel what each character is feeling, and this had the feels. It's kind of slow so you have little to no attention span. This is not exactly for you, but it's not too slow that it will pull your hair out. Well, maybe if you want slow stuff, just watch like Is the Other Rabbit or something. Just really nice and well paced. And the visuals, oh boy. I'll probably make a video about like NPRs or non-photorealistic renderings to explain these in detail, but for now, the CGI is stunning. The cool perspective effects that would be almost impossible to do in 2D drawings are used well. And the animation, they're animated in 2s. In basic terms, they're animated in about 12 FPS, half of the standard 24 FPS. And it made the thing look semi-hand drawn. While I have some second thought about the shading, I'd say they did a pretty good job on it. Some of the shadings are baked into the texture, so some shadings of some part may not make any sense, but it's not that big of a deal. The stylization here is awesome. Just the balance between the hand-drawn look and the CG look are on point. This is what a CG anime should look like. Properly stylized renders and animations. It doesn't have to be as stylized as something as like Into the Spider-Verse, but at least different and useful. Also, side note, yes, I know the second season has aired already, but it's not on Netflix yet, and I don't feel like spoiling myself for others, so we'll get there when we'll get there, okay? Overall, great story, great visuals, just a masterpiece in general, 8.5 out of 10. This one is, alright, I guess. Oh god, where do we even start? You know what, let's just start with the plot. So the premise here is also discrimination against the parties. But instead of herbivores to carnivores, it's humans to animal humans. Or beastmen, as the show calls them. The human in this world is made obvious that they hate the beastmen, and they have made countless efforts into game-ending the race, in return making said race also hate the humans. Enter Michiru Kagemori, the main protagonist of the show. She is a strong independent human that one day got transformed into the aforementioned beastmen. And to avoid being hunted down by the mafia, she became a refugee to Anima City, a city dedicated to protecting the beastmen. The show follows her daily life as she tries to comprehend the very fabric of reality. Now, hear me out. That sounds like a reasonable idea, doesn't it? Yeah, we get to see the main character learn more about its surroundings, possibly with a lesson in accepting herself in the process, and the world slowly expands as the main character slowly learns more about the beastmen. That sounds really promising. Too bad it isn't. So Michiru, upon realizing that she is a beastman now, does indeed become a refugee to Anima City. But not for the reasons you might have thought. She went in there in search of a cure that may turn her back into a human. So far, not so bad, right? Maybe she isn't accepting herself now and in a stage of denial. Then in the process, she found out about the pharmacy that could supposedly cure her. And the show revolves around the idea that maybe the intention of the big pharma is not so kind. And oh boy was it a mess. It's like when a child's telling a story and was like, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens. But not in a good way. The show lacks any sort of continuity or pacing. Stuff just happens. At some point the show is like, screw it, fake furry Jesus. And it starts to sink in on what happened really. Like at the time of writing, I barely even remember half of the thing that happened. The main antagonist too, it's like the typical bad guy does bad things. And his intentions are not even that interesting. The twist in the end, well, I'm not gonna spoil it of course, but even with the fact that I didn't see it coming, it just doesn't feel resolved. It personally made me even more confused than I already am. And the whole show is just hard to follow in general. That said, I really liked it. Yeah, never mind that I just bashed over it for the past couple of minutes. The thing had many flaws, but when the show does something right, it does it well. For example, the main character, Michiru, she does in fact develop as a character. She becomes more accepting of her own state as the episodes go on. Her actions are understandable and somewhat relatable to what you would probably do in that situation, and her character in general is really charming. Michiru is probably like my favorite main character out of all the shows that I watch. Oh, and the side characters slash side interactions. Those two are pretty good. There's one part where she apparently joins the baseball team. Yeah, let me say it now, that part is good. Really cute and charming on how all of the characters interact with one another, and how they react to each other's situations. There's a bit of a plot hole, but not as much as the actual main story, so I don't really mind. Overall, not bad. 7 out of 10. 2 extra points for Michiru. Okay, so I don't really like the metal that much, so I'm just gonna cut it there. So, this show is an odd one out. Firstly, it's the art style. Now tell me, this doesn't look like your typical moe anime. Here is my favorite characters list on Analyst. I know there are probably like some other shows with this style, but this is the one I know. The second fact is that this is just your regular old romance slice of life comedy. A good one at that, yeah sure, but it wasn't trying to be anything new. The story of the other two revolves around the idea of if animal do human things with animal senses. This one though, the anthropomorphic characters are used purely as an art style. There is nothing special about this. That said, being original is not what I would call a determining factor on whether or not something is good. While yes, this is nothing new, the execution here is still really good. This show is about Retsuko, a red panda. It doesn't really matter, but whatever. It's about her workplace with her workmates and her hashtag funny and hashtag relatable interaction with said workmates. Retsuko is a cute and harmless girl, but deep down inside of her, she's an aggressive little demon internally screaming. That's why every once in a while, she went to the nearest karaoke and have a death metal venting session. That's essentially the premise of the whole show. The show executes the cheesy romance type and jiggies really well. You know, the love is make you blind and such. This show is quite simple actually. The characters are charming and cute, the story is a bit cheesy but still bearable. Honestly, I just don't know what more to say about this. It's just normal, nothing too outstanding. I just really like the execution of the theme. I would not actually recommend this show if you actually want something new. But if you want some quick, fun slice of life, this one is worth a shot. Yeah, it's good, not that outstanding, but good nonetheless. 7.5 out of 10. So what have we learned today, folks? Have we not learned to look at shows past the form of beings they used, or to try new things? To be not afraid of these furry things? Or maybe it's just me that overthink too much about these. What the heck, what do I know about anime? That said, I really do recommend these shows. Definitely biased, but they're a fun experience and something different to those kitsune models. While some may not be that good, but the base idea is still fairly interesting. Yeah, not bad. Gold sticker from me.